Yep, across the field and happy days and Bucks, pluck the Ducks. Thanks to Bill Sapp for that chant. Hi, welcome to the Bruce Channel. I'm Bruce and glad that you can join us. I'm here in my scarlet and gray, and we found a few different things for today, so it should be some fun. Kick back and enjoy. All right, my old jacket. Yeah, it still fits, but it's my Buckeyes jacket, so, we're going all the way in. If you love football, this time of year is like a football version of March Madness. And read the Buckeyes. I didn't talk about this before the game because while I had an opinion, I know myself and any objectivity vis-a-vis Ohio State is impossible. I can tell you I did think they'd win, but I wouldn't have been shocked if they'd lost. The game was what I expected. That is a hard-fought, close game. I did think they'd win. Indeed, I placed a small wager, but I got 9.5 points, and while I wasn't positive they'd win the game, I was positive it would be by fewer than 9.5 if they didn't. All of which sets up the biggie, the first ever playoff college football champion. It's over a week away, Monday the 12th, but it should be a terrific game. You know who I'll be rooting for. But I also love the NFL, and that's now in high season. So I thought I'd try something a little different and something akin to filling out the hoops brackets in March. I made my NFL picks all the way through to the end. Now I know it would be a miracle to get them all right. Upsets happen and injuries can't be predicted, so I'll update each week as necessary. And the matchups I project here only line up if the picks hold up, as seeded position determines opponents. Nevertheless, I thought it might be fun to pick them all. So, yes, this show posts Sunday mornings, but if I cheated, I'd only have picked up 2 games. But I didn't cheat. I made the picks midweek, and that's when we shot this. All right, it's New Year's Day. Happy New Year to you. And here are my opening picks. Yep, wearing my Browns jersey, Bernie's number 19, which he wore back when they were relevant, annually relevant. And they always went deep into the playoffs. Someday yet again. Well, here are the matchups, and I thought we'd just take them in the order in which they'll be played. Carolina, with its losing record, hosts wild card Arizona Saturday afternoon. Now, nobody wanted to win the NFC South, but someone had to do it, and the Panthers did with only 7 wins, a losing record. All right, now last year they won 12 during the regular season. They had an excellent defense, and still I thought they'd bow out early, and they did. Today there's even less reason to think they can do much this year, so first out, my adopted team. Then, Saturday night, the Steelers host the Ravens. There is so much history between these two. Remember, the Ravens used to be the Browns and moved to Baltimore from Cleveland. I have a confession to make. As a Browns fan, I'm supposed to hate the Steelers, but one, on principle, I refuse to hate anyone or anything. I believe it's corrosive to oneself. But 2, every year, as soon as the Browns are eliminated, I start rooting for the Steelers. 1, it's hard not to respect their excellence. And 2, if they do well, they're representing my division. But rooting interest aside, and though I know the Ravens can be tough, they didn't look so tough beating Cleveland last week. Cleveland, who was starting a third-string quarterback who was making his very first ever NFL appearance. I think the Ravens season ends Saturday night. Sunday's first game features tight seeds, the Bengals at 5 visiting the number 4 Colts. I know Oliver Luck is a terrific quarterback, but I just don't think he's quite great. He will be, just not quite yet. I mean, just a few weeks ago, he barely beat the Browns in the final seconds. 1 week later, the Bengals laid waste to the Browns, and that was in Cleveland. 2 weeks ago, the Bengals beat Peyton Manning and the Broncos. I'm going with Cincy. I don't think Andy Dalton will take them deep into the playoffs, but this week is his. Sunday's late game has Detroit at Dallas. Big D, and they both like silver and blue and white. All right. Detroit's Ndamukong Suh was suspended for intentionally stepping on Aaron Rodgers last week. And it's not the first time he has shown his true colors. But the suspension was reduced to a fine. Now, if he had been out, it's an easier pick. But even though Detroit is as overdue for postseason success as the Browns, remember, not only has it been a long time for them, but just a few years ago they went winless. I'm going with the Cowboys. Like Andy Dalton, Tony Romo gets jibes for not winning the big one, but I think he'll do fine. And that's week 1. So now, I'm going to make the rest of the picks in these playoffs based on the assumption that these are correct. If they're not, I'll adjust as we go along, but if these are right, the seedings would then have the Bengals at Foxborough on Saturday. Andy Dalton goes home after that one. And likewise do the Cardinals after playing in the Legion of Boom in Seattle. Sunday's early game would have Dallas at Green Bay, and I just don't think they can beat the Packers. And that's without weather implications. Who knows what the weather will be at Lambeau Field come game time. It could be another ice bowl with temps below zero. These same two teams played in the way back. The weather was like that, and it's not out of the question that it could happen again, and that would make it really tough on the Cowboys. Then, Sunday's late game has the Steelers in Denver. It's a hard choice, but although Peyton Manning is first ballot Hall of Fame whenever that time comes, Ben Roethlisberger has a much better history in big games, especially the playoffs. And remember, a few weeks ago, Cincinnati found out how to get inside Peyton Manning's head. The week after that, it's the conference championship games. I think Tom Brady and New England send the Steelers home after a pretty good run. And it's awfully hard to imagine any visitor winning in the noise factory that is Seattle. However, history has shown that it's just so hard to get into successive Super Bowls. I think they'll be underdogs, but I think the Packers go to the big dance. And then the dance itself? No fan of Bill Belichick am I. I'm wearing a Bernie Kosar jersey, remember? And Bill Belichick benched Bernie years ago. Why did he do that? Because Bernie audibled a play. In fact, he drew it in the dirt. It wasn't what Bill called. The fact that it went for a touchdown didn't seem to make it true. It went for a touchdown. So after benching him, he released him. I could go on, but let it suffice, I am not a Bill Belichick fan. That said, I think he wins another Super Bowl. Okay, my neck is out there. It sure is. Back after this. Hey, let me tell you about my book, Shrink. Or wait, I can let others do it. If you saw our first two shows, you may recall I introduced some of my music, and you may have reached the conclusion that I'm a hopeless romantic. You'd be right. Now, there may be better paths to choose in life, but I am a hopeless romantic, and I have the soul of a poet, and having some musical credentials, I often fall in love and then write her a song. I really like this song a lot, and I especially like the lyric symmetry, the way it worked out. But this song, like the first one, requires a bit of backstory. Yes, I fell in love. And when I was about to tell a friend about this, I prefaced it by saying, you know, I really hate telling you that I'm an ass, but that's what I'm about to do. See, she was young, way too young. Oh, legal, but it certainly would have raised eyebrows, shotguns maybe. But she was so much wiser and more mature than her chronological age. And she just radiated joie de vivre. It was impossible not to be drawn to her like a flower toward the sun. And when she looked at me, I simultaneously felt as though I was about to die, and yet was more alive than can be expressed. A friend of mine, also too old, said, you know, if I weren't married, I'd be in love with her. And I told him, well, I'm not, and I am. So now you'll understand when you hear the lyrics, everyone would think that we had lost our minds.
I'd like to put in words these things inside my head. Although it might be best if they went unsaid. If I say these things wrong, you'll want to go. But to not say a thing means you'll never know. When you look at me, I almost want to die. But when you look at me, that's when I'm most alive. I would do anything, anything, I'd do anything for you to see how you touch my soul when you look at me. Everyone's life has some times of doubt. This is one of mine. Everyone would think that we have lost our minds. I don't know if we can ever overcome this span of time, but I'm here if you would ever like to try. Just watch a flower grow. It leans into the sun. But the sun can burn. It'll burn like a flame. When I think of you, part of me just wants to run, but the other part keeps calling your name. When you look at me, I almost want to die. But when you look at me, that's when I'm most alive. I would give anything, anything, I'd give anything if you could see how you touch my soul when you look at me. Just how you touch my soul when you look at me.
Well, it didn't work out. Today she's a very beautiful and successful woman, and we're still friends. But you know, as I've said before, if you like the song, be sure and get your neighbors to look, especially if it's Vince Gill or maybe Rod Stewart. Get them to watch the video, get the word out. And like us and share us on Facebook, and write to us at the Bruce Channel at yahoo.com. And that's it for this week. But I hope your upcoming week is the best one you've ever had.